Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm the GCSE science teacher. In today's video, we're going to be learning about antibiotic resistance. I hope you guys find this video helpful and good luck for any exams if you are currently studying for them. I hope they're going really well. I know lots of you have your GCSE paper 2 exams coming out as well. So fingers crossed, let me know how they're going and yeah, good luck for everything. So in terms of antibiotic resistance, we need to know a couple of key things, and this links really nicely to previous topics, especially with regards to evolution and Darwin's theory of natural selection in terms of evolution as well. So just as a bit of a recap, Darwin himself came up with this idea of survival of the fittest, essentially that we get an organism that can evolve over time or change over time, and this is dependent very much on the selection pressure, which is caused by the environment. So this happens all the time. We don't even realize it. But if we look back throughout history, we can see evidence of evolution in terms of fossils, and we can actually see a lot of speciation. So different species actually diverging and essentially changing slightly based on the environment they're in. This is a key example here is the moth that you see here, the black peppered moth. If the environment changed, so did the organism itself to fit that environment. And this is all due to mutations. So mutations can be good, they can be bad, or they can be completely, silent. But as well, those mutations are what drive evolution. So it's actually quite helpful to know that as a bit of a prerequisite to this topic. So with regards to antibiotic resistance, you need to know that essentially bacteria, they can be good, they can be bad. In terms of the bacteria on us as humans, we have bacteria all around us on our skin as a first line of defense to prevent pathogens from entering. We also have bacteria in our digestive tract as well. So this helps us with digestion. And you might have heard of things like probiotics and prebiotics in terms of food. This is a way that we as humans can actually eat food to essentially help those bacteria optimize their behaviors so that we have a healthy digestive tract. That being said, the pathogens we're talking about today specifically are bacteria, the pathogens, like I say, that are bad for us. They are bacteria that cause disease. That's what pathogen really means. And unfortunately, currently, especially, there is a lot of bacteria that are now becoming resistant to antibiotics. So we know previously that antibiotics is this treatment, this medication that we can use and give to people who have a bacterial illness. But unfortunately, due to the misuse and mismanagement of antibiotics, we are seeing an increased rise in antibiotic resistant bacteria such as MRSA, which is why if there is an outbreak of MRSA, in like a hospital setting, they actually have to close certain sections of the hospital to prevent the spread, because obviously if those diseases continue to increase in the population, it can be really deadly, very hazardous, and very difficult to treat. So we're going to explore as to why that happens. So let's do that now. So we already know that antibiotics is used to treat bacterial diseases. However, bacteria are really smart. They are able to evolve really quickly, and they do this because they actually divide very quickly as well through a process called binary fission. Unlike our cells, which divide by either mitosis or meiosis, bacteria divide by binary fission, and they have such small genomes that they actually can replicate quite quickly. Remember, bacteria are prokaryotes. They do not have a nucleus, which allows for their DNA to be free within the cytoplasm. This essentially reduces the time it takes for that DNA to unwind, for bits of the DNA called genes to be copied into proteins, etc. And that quickness, that efficiency allows for a really quick turnaround or a quick division. And that's why generations of bacteria can occur quite quickly compared to humans. If the average human, say, lives for 80, 100 years or something, a bacteria actually can divide, up to every 20 minutes. And that is exponential growth. So we go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 16. That was quick maths. I was trying to work that one out, but you get my point. So it's very, very quick, fast division and replication. So this is why we see that evolution as we do in bacteria much, much quicker than we would in, say, humans or other animals and plants. Now, what causes this evolution is a mutation, just like we would see in other organisms. So a mutation, remember, is just a change to the DNA, and it can cause the bacteria's genome to change slightly, and it can cause a new strain of bacteria, essentially a new version. And that version of bacteria will be resistant to the antibiotics so that they survive, they're not killed, therefore they can reproduce, pass on those genes, etc. So all of those skills that we've learned about previously with evolution, you want to use the same steps in answering questions about antibiotic resistance here as well. So why does this actually happen? Let's look deeper into the genome of bacteria to kind of give us a bit more detail. So remember, bacteria, they are prokaryotes. They do not have a nucleus, like I say, and they also have extra loops of DNA. Remember that section, that organelle called a plasmid? These are extra loops of DNA found within the cytoplasm, and they code specifically for antibiotic resistant genes. And so interestingly, those plasmids can be shared amongst bacteria of the same species, but also between species as well. And that's what makes them so effective at sharing their ability to be resistant. And this essentially is what causes this issue that we're seeing. So bacteria can share this resistant gene with other bacteria. It can become a widespread problem quite quickly. And this is what leads to that resistance. Those bacteria essentially become smarter because of those mutations in those genes, and therefore they survive and are not killed and therefore reproduce. So you might be thinking to yourself, what can we actually do to stop antibiotic resistance? Is it too late? What do we do in the case where there's diseases which we can't treat in the future? What is the situation going to look like moving forward? Like, how is this going to work? And what are the problems with this? All of these questions are really valid and actually really important to ask because it helps us problem solve. And that's kind of what science is all about, isn't it? So one of the things Alexander Fleming said in his Nobel Prize speech in 1952 was we need to be really mindful of how we use antibiotics. He was the first person, by the way, to discover antibiotics, penicillin in 1928. This was kind of like an accident type of thing. He found this in his when he was doing some experiments. Essentially, we need to be really careful though. And he said this back in 1952, you guys. This is a long time ago. And scientists kind of took his word of warning, but no one really thought much of it. But now we're starting to see the effects of this. And that's why we get things like MRSA, these super bugs, which are, very difficult to treat with antibiotics. So what can we actually do? Well, one of the things you need to know is that we can only prescribe antibiotics for bacterial diseases, not viral infections, not for non-serious illnesses, things that can be treated over the counter or by a person resting. These are only for bacterial infections, so they're limited on what they can be used for now. Another thing is that a patient who is prescribed antibiotics must finish their course of antibiotics so that all the bacteria are killed. That's really important because if someone was just to take a few pills, they start to feel better, that can actually reduce the effect of the antibiotics and therefore lead to resistance as well. So really important in that point there. Something else to do as well is, unfortunately, a lot of antibiotics is used in the agricultural and farming industry. So it's given to a lot of livestock, so cattle farming specifically. And this is done to prevent diseases. And therefore make more money from animals, because if they're less ill, they're going to be able to grow to their full potential and therefore they're going to be more profitable. That in itself has lots of ethical issues, as I'm sure you're aware. People have lots of thoughts and beliefs about treating animals with respect. That in itself is a complete side point to the point I'm trying to make. If we were essentially to give and continue to give animals antibiotics, not only is it damaging to their health potentially, it's also it can cause this resistance that I'm talking about. So there's lots of issues surrounding that as well, and the treatment of animals. And then lastly as well, one of the things we need to do in the future is to look at new ways of treating disease, look for new medicines. And this links again nicely to other topics in that area. So looking at clinical trials, how drugs are tested, also different farming techniques and modern farming techniques. Again, it's something else that is asked about at GCSE as well. So when you're doing your revision on this topic, you can link it and broaden your understanding of this topic by linking it to other ideas. And if you are doing other subjects as well, maybe you're doing geography or history or something else at GCSE, try and link it to those other subjects as well, because it is a cross-curricular collaboration moment that we can kind of pull together, and it just strengthens your knowledge and understanding. So if you've made it this far to the video, you guys are amazing. Thank you so, so much. I did just want to share with you this sort of bonus tip thing that I've seen as a teacher myself. I've seen loads and loads of students over the years of different abilities actually say these things, and I just want to kind of stomp them out and prevent anybody else from saying them. And change them into something better, or what I think people are trying to make with these points. So a lot of the time students will say the bacteria, they become immune, or the bacteria's immune system, something along those lines. Be really careful with this, because immunity is specifically talking about white blood cells. Remember, bacteria do not have white blood cells. They are a cell themselves. So if you're talking about the immunity or immune system, you're talking about the host that has the bacteria potentially inside it. Just be careful, please. So instead of saying bacteria become immune, what you mean to say is the bacteria become resistant to the antibiotics. Okay. Another thing I see a lot is bacteria divide by mitosis. They do not. They do not divide by mitosis. They divide by binary fission, which is a cell division type. Both of them are. But the reason it's not mitosis is because mitosis involves the assortment of chromosomes. Remember, bacteria are prokaryotes. They do not have chromosomes. They are just single loops of DNA inside the cytoplasm. So that's why we call it binary fission. It's a slightly different method of cell division and gene replication, etc. So just be really careful of your terminology there. And then also just a kind of thing I see a lot in year 9, year 10, especially when students have just started maybe their GCSEs, is when students say things like bacteria are germs, or I know I've said bugs, super bugs, which is kind of contradictory to the point I'm trying to make, but be really careful about that. So say the word pathogens, bacteria. Those are the words you're going to use, especially if you're looking to get higher than a grade 5. If you're looking to push yourself further, doing triple science, etc., it's worth just having that terminology in your mind when you're making these points. If you can think of any others and you're like, oh, actually, might as well mention it, let me know in the comment section, or if you have any other tips or anything else you want to add. I always love hearing from you guys. So thank you so much if you do, like my videos, share it, all that kind of thing, and comment. It is so lovely. So thank you. We've got a really great community here. And that's it from me today. I've been the GCSE science teacher, and you have been curious. Thank you so much, you guys, for all your support on my channel. I literally cannot believe it. Today we hit 1,500 subscribers, and then it is mind-blowing, because that's more than an average school of people who have actually chosen to revise science. It's just amazing. We have the best community here. Everybody's so supportive. Everybody just wants to learn about science and share their tips. So thank you so much. If you've just subscribed, or you've been here a long time, or whatever the case is, thank you so much for your support. It's just amazing. So thank you. If you know of anyone else that you think would benefit from learning more science, please share this video with them. It's always good. I know lots of you have your exams soon, so good luck. I hope it goes well. Let me know in the comment section how you're getting on with those. Also, hello to all my viewers who are not in the UK. I have so many of you who are from all over the world, which is just incredible to me. So if you're not from the UK, and if you are, hello, by the way, but if you're not from the UK, please let me know where you're from, because I just love learning about different cultures and different parts of the world. It's just amazing. So I'm so glad I can help you with your revision and studies. Anyway, I'm waffling, so I'm going to go. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.